Hello and welcome to the classes of Mastering Biology. Let's learn biology in an easy way. All right. So today I'm here to talk about transportation in animals. Let us talk about transportation in animals. When I say animals, all right, now animals, as I earlier classified organisms into unicellular and multicellular, so animals are also unicellular or multicellular. When the animals are grouped into unicellular organisms, I have already told you that transportation occurs by the process of diffusion. And in case of multicellular animals, they have specific organ systems for this purpose. All right. Now, besides the specific organ systems, there's one more thing I want you to know about, that these organ systems are known as the circulatory system. It is the circulatory system. And this circulatory system is of two types. The open circulatory system and the closed circulatory system. What do you mean by open circulatory system and what is closed circulatory system? Open circulatory system means when the blood flows or the body fluid. For example, if I take a cockroach, so the body fluid in cockroach is known as hemolymph. So this body fluid flows in the body cavity. And blood vessels or vessels are absent in this case. Vessels are absent here. So you know what does it mean? It means that each and every cell of this organism will have cells flooded with the hemolymph around itself. All right. So in this case, hemolymph is flooding all the cells. That is, it is in direct contact with all the cells. Unlike in organisms which have closed circulatory system, as in case of human beings, as in case of earthworms, where we have closed system, that is blood flows into blood vessels. Now, if you remember, we have arteries, we have veins, we have capillaries. What are these? These are all blood vessels which help in the transport of blood, all right, in the body. That means entire body of human being is not flooded with blood everywhere. Every cell is not flooded. It's not directly dipped in blood. No. But in case of insect like cockroach, the cells are in direct contact with this fluid, the transporting fluid. So that is what is the difference between a closed and an open circulatory system. A closed circulatory system will have blood vessels carrying blood, and an open circulatory system, no such vessels are present. The fluid, the circulating medium is directly present in the body cavity, and all the cells are in direct contact with the fluid. All right. Now, This circulatory system comprises of three things in our case, which is the blood, the circulating medium, the blood vessels, and the pumping organ, heart. These are the three structures that we will be taking in detail. Blood as a fluid connective tissue, you must have studied in your grade 9, the chapter tissues. Alright. Still, I'll take this topic up one by one. First, we'll discuss what is blood, what are the functions. Then we'll talk about different blood vessels. And then we'll talk about the heart, the pumping organ. Alright. So, let's proceed then to our first part, because we will be talking about the closed circulatory system, and that too in humans. So let us talk about the first component of the circulatory system, which is blood. All right. So blood is a red colored fluid connective tissue having the respiratory pigment hemoglobin and helps in the transport of nutrients, respiratory gases, what else? Waste material, all right, hormones, etc. This is blood, the red colored fluid connective tissue. Red because of the presence of the respiratory pigment hemoglobin, and it helps in the transportation of these things, the nutrients, the respiratory gases, which is carbon dioxide and oxygen. All right, waste material, hormones, etc. Now, blood comprises of two parts, you know. Blood comprises of two components. One component is the plasma and the other component are the corpuscles. When I say the word plasma, plasma itself contributes for about 55 to 60%. All right, and remaining are the corpuscles, which is 40 to 45%. Right? Now, this 55 to 60% of plasma has about 90 to 92% water. Besides this, there are plasma proteins which contribute 6 to 8%, and remaining are 1 to 2%, that is the organic and inorganic salts. So 1 to 2% is organic and inorganic salts. All right. And when we talk about corpuscles means the cells, the cellular part. So the cellular part comprises of three cells, the RBC, the red blood cells, second, the white blood cells, and the third one are the platelets. So children, if there is a short note on blood, how you will start your answer? You start writing the definition, You write the components in this form, in the form of a flow chart, where you can write the percentage, where you can write this. Yes, plasma proteins, I would like to add the names here. And the names of the plasma proteins are fibrinogen, prothrombin. If you can remember these names, it's good for you. All right. So you can write this as a flow chart. Now, when I talk about the three cellular part of the blood, I will make another table where we will study them in a differential form. Let us make a table to further create differences. We will take character as one column. Then we have the RBC. Then the second type of cell is the WBC. The third type of the cell are platelets. All right. RBC is also known as erythrocyte. Clear? WBC, leukocytes, and platelets are known as thrombocytes. These are the three different cells which are present in the blood. They have different functions, yes? Now, if I talk about the shape, the RBC in case of human beings is disc-like biconcave. WBC, irregular. And platelets are spindle shaped. Then what about the presence or absence of nucleus? So nucleus, it is all right. So nucleus in case of RBC is present initially. Absent on maturity. All right. What about the WBC? WBC are non-nucleated. And what about platelets? Sorry, WBC are nucleated. And what about the platelets? Platelets are non-nucleated as they are created by fragmentation of large cells. So, basically platelets are fragments of large cells. Let's talk about the number. The number of cells. RBC is about 5 million per mm³ of the blood volume. WBC is lesser in number. It is about 6,000 to 8,000 per mm³ of blood volume, but the number increases when there is an infection in the body, because you know that the function of WBC, the white blood cells, is to provide a defense mechanism to our body. These help to fight infections. All right. And so their number is initially in a normal blood, the number is 6,000 to 8,000 per mm³ itself. But it can increase up to lakhs depending on the level of infection. Platelets, if I talk about, we have about 2 million to 3 million per mm³ of the blood volume. Functions in specification. The RBC transports respiratory gases, All right. The WBC fights infections, and the platelets help in clotting of blood. So these are the different functions of the different types of cells which are present in blood. Now here I would like to add something more for your information, and that information is that hemoglobin, which is the respiratory pigment, has iron as the core element. That is the reason whenever we are low on iron, we get deficient of hemoglobin and we often have shortness of breath, because this is only carrying oxygen. All right. And each hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 oxygen molecules in the form of oxyhemoglobin. This is the combined form. All right. So about 98% of oxygen is transported as oxyhemoglobin, and 2% of it is transported in dissolved in plasma. Dissolved form in plasma. Similarly, we know that only oxygen is not transported by blood. Carbon dioxide is also carried to be eliminated out from the body. In that case, carbon dioxide will combine with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin, all right, and this transport is about 23%. About 70% of the transport of carbon dioxide is in dissolved form in form of bicarbonates, and still some is carried through plasma. So this information is just for your knowledge. You can just go through this. All right. Then let us now talk about the next part of the functions, where if I say the combined functions of blood, you know they carry respiratory gases, they help in carrying nutrients, hormones, remove the waste materials. Yes, but the last cell, the platelets, the third group of cells, they were performing a very important function, which was blood clotting. This was blood clotting. What is blood clotting? All right, see, we all have faced this injury at times. We get hurt and the blood starts to come out from that particular site of injury. And after some time, we observe that there is this black, brown, scar-like structure which has packed the wound. That means the blood is no more coming out from there. And after a few days, we see that the skin gets healed, that part is removed. What is that brown reddish part? That brown reddish part is the clot, which is formed by the platelets at the site of injury. And why is it formed? You know why is it formed? Because wherever there is a cut, the pressure with which the blood flows in the blood vessels decreases. As a result, the efficiency of our circulatory system will go down. The cells will not receive sufficient amount of oxygen and the other requirements. Therefore, to maintain that pressure, to maintain the efficiency of the circulatory system, the injury has to be packed, and that is what is called the clot. So let's quickly write. Clot is formed by the platelets at the site of injury. All right. This prevents the loss of blood pressure. This prevents the loss of blood pressure at the site of injury, maintaining the efficiency of the circulatory system. So this maintains the efficiency of the circulatory system. How is this clot formed? The clot is formed at the site of injury. The platelets reach and they form a net-like structure like this, and each pore of the net gets blocked by RBC. This is the fibrin protein. All right. There's a complete blood clotting mechanism that you will study in higher classes, but for now you remember the fibrin in the blood, which was present as plasma protein, that forms a mesh-like structure. Each pore of the mesh is blocked by RBC. All right. And this is how a part of clotting is going to take place. And once the wound heals up, the clot gets removed, maintaining the efficiency of the circulatory system. So this is all about the open and closed circulatory system. We have talked about blood. Now we shall talk about blood vessels in the next class. So thank you for today.